Look at this image of Taco Bell. Does it make you feel anything other than the crippling anxiety of impending diarrhea? Does it feel like something from your past? If it does, then this video is for you. Now look at this image of Taco Bell now. Boring. Bland. Puh. I want the old Taco Bell back. What's up guys, today I'm going to be talking about two genres that are closely related to each other and closely related to the topic of modernity ruining the world. Those two topics are liminal space and vaporwave. I figured liminal space was a good place to start, but regardless of that, my name is Cindy Monkey and I hope you enjoy.
Heart. Wake up! Nice to meet ya. Who could you be?
So some of you may know what liminal space is, and for those who don't, it's an aesthetic known as liminal space is a location in which a transition between two other locations or states of being. Typically these are abandoned and oftentimes empty. A mall at 4 AM or a school hallway during summer, for example. This makes it feel frozen and slightly unsettling, but also familiar to our minds. So there's two things that liminal space invokes in people. The first is nostalgia, the feeling when you're a child, when everything was easy, when you loved life, and you didn't have to pay taxes, which I'm still evading to this day. You're never gonna find me. And the second feeling is someone is always watching you when you look at one of these images. Now you might be wondering what liminal space has to do with modernity ruining the world. Well, despite the fact that some of these images are nightmare-filled, they still give off these vibes of the past, things from a long time ago, and these images really represent how much things have changed. For example, look at this school. Boring. Puh. Bland. Puh. Nothing about this feels nostalgic. There's no design. There's no color. Now look at this school. Oh my god, it's got everything you could possibly want. The color, the chairs. I bet it even has that carpet with the roads on it with the mysterious stains. This image makes me feel nostalgic. I'm pretty sure I even shit my pants in that exact same chair when I was 3 years old. My point being is look at the drastic difference. Color is gone. Vibrant colors dwindled down to simplicity. When I look at this image, I feel nothing. When I look at this image, I can remember so many things from my childhood. And liminal space doesn't just stop at schools and old Taco Bells. You can even find liminal space in your own home. Look at this. Can you feel the nostalgia? Random containers probably filled with Lego bricks. The simple toys. The blue box probably filled with pencils, pens, and dismembered Barbies. You could even imagine living here given that you grew up with the same things. And then comes modernity. Like, what is this? Where's the Lightning McQueen bed? Where are the boogers on the wall? I'll tell you what this is. It's boring. I'll even go as far to say that they changed the playgrounds. Look at this park. Nothing stands out about this park. It doesn't make me, a grown-ass man, want to push all of the kids off of the slide and go down it myself. It's just devoid of any feeling. But this park, this one makes me excited. Even though it looks like it survived a nuclear blast, all you gotta do is wipe it down. And boom, vibrant colors are back. It's just full of life. Maybe too much life because this burger looks like it would consume any living being that came in its path. That wouldn't stop me from having fun though. And although advancing into modernity isn't the worst thing because I don't exactly miss getting third-degree burns in my butt cheeks from these metal slides, I would still prefer this over the newer, less colorful, vibrant models. I think one of the coolest things about liminal space is you never went to these schools, you never went to this Taco Bell, you never went to this playground. And it doesn't even matter who took the picture. It still invokes this feeling of nostalgia inside of you that makes you remember everything about your childhood. This classroom and this playground might make you think, yeah, I used to go to these when I was a kid, but nothing about them stands out. Nothing makes you remember things from your past. They don't really invoke that feeling of nostalgia that you'd get from these images. But speaking of the past, this is another reason why I think liminal space and vaporwave are so closely tied together. And in a sense, I think vaporwave shows more about how things have changed from then to now, way more than liminal space does. And to explain that, we're gonna have to dive further into the popular genre of vaporwave.
Jive on the samba, so
So vaporwave is a music genre branching from electronic chillwave, but the unique and iconic visual aesthetic cultivated alongside it is now debatably more popular and recognizable than the music itself. When you imagine a vaporwave image, you think of a highly edited image with lots of color and a very unique aesthetic. And although liminal space and vaporwave are two completely different genres, they do correlate because of one recurring theme. It's the fact that they always reference old images, places, and things. And to really get in depth of what vaporwave is and where it got its inspiration from, we're gonna have to rewind. And you guessed it, back to the 80s. The 80s were a simpler time when weeaboos didn't exist and everyone was arguing over whose glasses were cooler. The style of practically everything was vibrant and glowing, even when it came to clothes, advertisements, TV shows, and more notably shopping malls and stores. One of the best things about the 80s in my opinion was the use of neon lights, scattered across restaurants and shopping centers. Neon lights could turn a mundane mall into something that almost seemed like it came out of a dream, adding unique designs left and right. You could turn the corner and have no clue what kind of new design you would come across. All you really knew is that no matter where you went, there would be something new to see. And it almost hurts to see how modern malls have been stripped of this feature and just completely devoid of any potential enthusiasm it could hold. And for example, this mall, I can't really imagine turning the corner and seeing anything different. It just feels bland and lifeless. In these kinds of cases, comparing the 80s to modern times, it almost feels like it's from the future. And as the style of the 80s seemed to almost fade away with the wind, Vaporwave came into play and almost adopted the style entirely. And the reason the 80s feels so nostalgic to people is because even if you weren't born in the decade, the style still carried all the way over to the early 2000s, so there's an incredibly large age range of people who grew up with practically the same things. And the amazing thing about Vaporwave is that it doesn't only grab things from the 80s, but it also mashes with the early 2000s and creates something beautiful. And Vaporwave doesn't just bring a sense of nostalgia, it also has a really unique and amazing vibe to it that you really just can't get anywhere else if it weren't for older times. Despite all that, liminal space and Vaporwave are one of the best ways to realize how much things have changed since our childhood. And without these two genres, I don't think our younger years would be looked back upon so dearly. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed, I'm glad you did, and let me know if you actually did, and I'll consider making more content like this in the future. With that being said, thank you for watching, and peace out.